Here's something you don't hear every day. Retirement doesn't always mean stopping work. For some people, it's a necessity. You need extra income to make the numbers work. For others, it is just a choice. It's a way to stay engaged, connected, and purposeful. It might be a part-time job. Maybe it is consulting in the field that you know the best, or maybe it's something completely different, just for fun. Whatever the reason is, more Canadians over 60 are working in retirement than ever before, and it's changing what retirement actually looks like. So if you've ever thought maybe I'll keep working a little while, you're certainly not alone. This is episode 7 of our 12-part series, Second Act, and today we're diving into the world of working in retirement. Why do people do it? How does it affect your income, your taxes, and your lifestyle? And how do you balance earning a little extra with actually enjoying the freedom that you worked so hard for? I will break down the numbers. I'll share some inspiring stories of clients that I actually worked with and walk through the financial and the emotional pros and cons. Before we get started, a big thank you to Harvest ETFs for supporting this entire series. I'll talk more about them a little bit later in this episode. Okay, let's get started here with the obvious question. Why are so many retirees working? There are two big reasons. Number one, they need the money. Retirement is expensive these days. It could be rising housing prices. It could be healthcare expenses. It could be helping out adult children. Some retirees simply need a financial buffer. A part-time job or a seasonal position can fill that gap without going fully back to work. Now, reason two is they want to work. Work can give you structure. It can be really hard to turn off 40 years of habit. And for some, it gives purpose. It keeps you connected to your community, your industry, or just your own sense of identity. Heck, I retired in 2021 from my real job, my career, but now I love creating YouTube content to share, help others. And yes, it definitely keeps me connected to what I did for so many years. During my career, I worked with retirees who now teach part-time, maybe volunteer with or without a stipend, consult a few days a month, and yes, even work at their local garden center for the sheer joy of it. Now, all that said, it's not always easy. And some retirees face age bias when they're trying to re-enter the workforce. If that happens, focus on employers or industries that are known to be age inclusive, or consider freelancing or self-employment where you get to call all the shots. So whether it is about income or engagement, the key is being intentional about your why. Let's talk numbers for a moment. If you are collecting CPP or old age security, adding employment income to the mix can have a few consequences. First, most obvious, is taxes. Any income that you earn, including any part-time work, is taxable, and that includes consulting fees, side hustles, or any self-employment income. It could bump you into a higher tax bracket or even trigger a partial OAS clawback if your net income crosses around $91,000 in 2025. But here's the thing. You still come out financially ahead, you're just taxed more on the extra income. Now, second is GIS eligibility. If you receive the guaranteed income supplement, you have to be extra careful because even small amounts of extra income can reduce your GIS payments. Thirdly here, CPP contributions. If you are under 70 and you're still working, you can continue contributing to your CPP even if you've already started collecting it. But here's the key. Once you hit 65, those contributions become optional. The upside of continuing is that these extra contributions go towards something called the post-retirement benefit. It is a small but a permanent boost to your CPP. It's added each year that you contribute. Now, fourth, RRIF withdrawals and income planning. Depending on your circumstances, working part-time might allow you to delay drawing down your RRIF or deferring your CPP or OAS longer, and that will give your investments more time to grow. This isn't the solution for everyone, but to help you decide what's best for your solution, I'll put a link here for an episode in this series that covers this off in greater detail. So yes, working affects your taxes and your benefits, but with the right strategy, you can actually strengthen your retirement plan. Let's have a look at some real life examples here. These are all based on clients that I actually worked with, but obviously I've changed some of the details for privacy reasons. I want to start with Lorna, 68 years old. She is a former city planner who always loved mentoring younger professionals that she worked with. These days, now that she's retired, she runs design workshops at her local community center, and she teaches the occasional guest lecture at a nearby college. She earns around $800 a month, so not that much, but she uses it for travel and local adventures like getaways to the Sunshine Coast where I live. For her, it's not about the money, it's about staying sharp and giving back. Now, Tom is 80. He is a retired engineer who's tried but flunked retirement 3 times. Now he picks up short-term consulting contracts and lends his extensive expertise to small infrastructure projects. He enjoys the freedom to say yes or no to projects and the social aspect of working with a team again. Now, he likes the flexibility and the fact that there's no long-term commitment. Now, next is Jackie, 48 years old. She is financially secure after a strong corporate career in project management. Now, she loved her work, but she did want more freedom. So now she books contract work only during the winter months, and she spends the summers traveling and camping. In her case, working gives her structure in the off season, and it funds her travel without having to touch her long-term investments. Finally here, Mary is 78 years old, and she spent decades in the fashion industry, and she sold her boutique business in the early 2000s. These days, she volunteers with the hospital auxiliary, she helps with the local community fundraisers, and she coordinates arts events for seniors. She doesn't earn a paycheck, but her calendar is definitely full, and she winters in a different sunny location every year. She always said, I may be retired from business, but I'm not retired from life. So whether it's $500 a month or $50,000 a year, these stories can show you the range of what retirement work can look like. Before you jump into a part-time job, maybe some consulting work, or even if you're thinking about volunteering, it is worth hitting the pause button for just a moment. Working in retirement, no doubt, can be very rewarding, but it can also come with trade-offs. And you think of things like unexpected tax implications, accidentally overcommitting your time. There are a few things you need to think of before saying yes. I want to look now at 5 practical considerations to help you make sure that the work that you take on actually supports the retirement lifestyle that you want. Number 1 is know your limits. How much time, energy, and mental bandwidth are you prepared to commit? It's so easy to say just a few hours a week, but some opportunities can quietly snowball into something much bigger. I worked with a client who took on a part-time consulting role, and that quickly turned into practically a full-time job with expectations, and that had a big negative effect on him. A helpful tip here, set a weekly cap on hours or even schedule full off days to protect the balance that you worked so hard to create. Retirement burnout is a real thing, especially if you're saying yes to too many things at once. You have to be honest with yourself. Are you doing this for fun, for structure, or because you need the income? And your answer to that question should shape your boundaries. Set the limits up front and stick to them. Remember, retirement work should add to your life, not take it over. Now, the second point here is to understand the tax impact. Earning extra income in retirement can feel really great until tax season rolls around. Any money that you earn from part-time work, from freelancing, or from self-employment is taxable, and it can affect more than just your marginal tax rate. If your total net income crosses certain thresholds, you could face partial or full OAS clawbacks. Again, that starts around $91,000 for 2025. Reduced GIS eligibility, if that's applicable to you. A shift into a higher tax bracket could potentially affect your RRIF withdrawals, dividends, or capital gains. Now, this doesn't mean don't work. It just means plan ahead. Talk to your advisor, your tax professional, and look for ways to offset or reduce your tax bill, such as RRSP withdrawals in lower income years or strategic usage of your TFSA. Number 3, keep it flexible. Retirement is supposed to be freeing, not fixed. So look for opportunities that offer flexibility, like freelance or contract work, project-based consulting, seasonal employment, job sharing, or perhaps on-call roles, or volunteer positions with stipends or honorariums. The goal is not to climb the corporate ladder. You've been there, you've done that. It's to stay engaged on your own terms. And if it stops working for you, you should be able to walk away with no guilt and no drama. Choose the work that fits your life, not the other way around. Now, number 4, make it meaningful. Remember, this is your personal second act. And if you're working because you want to, make sure it's something that feeds your energy, not drains it. So this could mean teaching others what you've learned in your field, turning a hobby into a side hustle, supporting a nonprofit that you care about, working in a completely new area just for the joy of it. The most satisfied retirees that I've met don't just work for a paycheck, they work for a sense of purpose. The money, no doubt, is nice, but it's the meaning that keeps them coming back. If it doesn't energize you, it's probably not worth your time. Now, number 5, budget for business. If you are planning to do freelance, contract, or consulting work, remember, you're not just a retiree now, you are a small business. That means keeping track of things like income and expenses, invoicing and payment terms, potential GST and HST obligations, quarterly tax installments, tools, software, or supplies, insurance needs like liability or home office coverage. It is true you will be able to deduct some expenses, but you also have more paperwork to manage. Two quick but very important points here. If you're doing freelance or contract work, make sure you understand what you're signing. Contracts might include non-competes, intellectual property clauses, or liability terms. It may be worth having someone take a look at it, especially if it involves work in your old field. And just a heads up here, if you are volunteering and you receive an honorarium or a small stipend, that may still be considered taxable income. It might not always be a big amount, but it can affect things like your GIS or your OAS clawback threshold. Best to double check before tax season. Treat it like a business from day one, and it won't catch you off guard. Let's talk now about how working or not working fits into your broader income plan, because one of the smartest things that you can do in retirement is to build a plan with flexibility. And that is where predictable, consistent income from your portfolio becomes so important, especially if your work income is seasonal or inconsistent. A big thank you to Harvest ETFs for supporting this entire series. One Harvest fund that is worth highlighting here is their Harvest Brand Leaders Plus Income ETF. The ticker is HBF. This fund invests in 20 of the world's top global brand leaders. These are household names you already know and trust. The goal is to provide attractive monthly cash flow with the potential for long-term growth. Now, to help make that cash flow more consistent, HBF uses a covered call strategy. This is basically a way of generating extra cash flow from the portfolio, even when the stock prices aren't moving much, at the same time helping you reduce volatility. So whether you're working a little, a lot, or not at all, income stability does give you options. You can learn more by visiting harvestetfs.com/HBF. And for a deeper dive into what makes HBF strong, check out the article linked in the description, The Bellwethers, 3 Factors That Strengthen HBF. Let's look at something very real here for just a second. For many people, stopping work can feel like you're losing a piece of your identity. If your career defined who you were for 40 years plus, it's not always easy just to let that go. And even if you are excited about retirement, you might find yourself bored, you might find yourself lonely and uncertain, and that is okay. Retirement isn't just a switch. It is a transition, and sometimes that takes a while. Now, working part-time, consulting, or staying involved in your industry can give you structure. It can give you community. It can give you that purpose, but it's not for everyone. Some people try working in retirement and they realize, no, I've been there, I've done that. This is not for me. The point here is that working in retirement isn't about going back. It's about moving forward on your own terms. So, should you work in retirement? Well, maybe and maybe not, but it is worth asking the question, do you need the income? Do you want the connection? What would your ideal work-life balance look like if money weren't the only factor? And if you're already working part-time or freelancing, make sure it's part of your financial plan. Understand the tax impact, plan for the slow months, and don't let it creep into full-time hours unless that's what you truly want. To help you out, I've included a cheat sheet that summarizes everything I've talked about in this episode. It's a sort of a checklist to help decide whether retirement work is right for you. You can scan the QR code on your screen right now to download the PDF. I'll also put a link in the description of this video. In the next episode, I'm going to be talking about housing, and this is one of the biggest and most emotional decisions that you may face in retirement. Whether it's downsizing, whether it's aging in place, relocating, or tapping into home equity, I'll explore the pros, the cons, and the key financial considerations to help you make the right choice for your situation. If you found today's video helpful, hit the subscribe button. We've got lots more practical retirement coming in every episode. And if you know someone who's nearing retirement, share this with them. It might just help them feel a little more confident about their own second act. Thank you so much for watching. Here's to finding your purpose on your own terms. See you in the next video.